In this episode, we're talking about the indie game that looks so big and so good that the president of France gave it media attention. That's right, we're finally talking about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, that and more on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
Do you have your baguette ready? Are you ready to wave that French flag around, celebrating Vive la France?
Well, I mean, coming off of playing the game that I was talking about last week, yes? Savara, for anyone who didn't listen. Yeah.
The French Revolution continues.
I just want to say up front, for anybody who listened to last episode and they were judging anything I was saying about that one wolf boss, I get why it was weird now. I don't disagree with what I said about it, but I will say that if you don't want it to be like stuck with the camera angle that it was for me, just don't lock onto the boss. And on top of that, like you have to like not be locked onto the boss whenever that move comes. That allows the camera to focus on you, center on you, and then you can dodge around those wolves easier. But I will say that like there's not really a visual indicator for when you're locked onto bosses the way there are normal enemies. So maybe there's something there they could add to be like, okay, I am locked onto the boss. I know this now. Let me unlock or like lock off of the boss, I guess.
Oh, okay. Come on, yeah, Savara devs.
Well, that was just like the only thing. So it just made like fighting that boss a lot easier when it was like, oh, okay, I was just locked onto him. That's why it was stuck on that camera angle. And then the last boss of that game is pretty challenging, but in a way that's like meat spongy. So it was me kind of like having to go through that a few times just because it has so much health in comparison to these other bosses. But I managed eventually, and then it does the thing that roguelikes do where it's like you've beaten it once, but now you can do it all kinds of different ways with these challenges added on top of it to get this kind of ranking thing up and unlock new stuff. And it's like, okay, well, I might one day, but I feel like I got my fill of it with all that I played at that point. So I was pleased with it. It was fun.
I would love to play it. My computer's still like, no thanks.
Which is so weird because it doesn't seem like it's that like intensive.
No, I know. I don't understand it. But like this game, I can run no problem. You know, every once in a while, there's like the loading screens take a really long time for me. But other than that, runs fine. So
upgrade your stuff.
I know. But money.
Game start.
Let's get into it, though. Let's talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This was released April 24th, 2025 from Sandfox Interactive. Again, this is a development team studio from France made up of not completely, but some former Ubisoft developers. Sick of the AAA grind. I think it was about like 12 of them. From what I remember, I think like the team in total was about like 30. So bigger than your average indie studio for sure. And then I know that they also outsourced some of the work too. So this is like one of those games that it's like, it is an indie studio, but because like the team was like big, it's definitely like a very different kind of game than you look at something like Undertale or, you know, something like that.
Yeah,
like
this one kind of straddles the line of what I would even want to talk about on this show. And I was nervous to bring this up. That's why I questioned you about it and was like, is it an indie studio? And like, what is our definition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just with that disclaimer out of the way, just know that we are aware of it. And however you feel about it, that's understandable.
There's been a couple games like this, and I brought this up on a few episodes back while you were out, talking about like that blurry line kind of where there's like a few games out there that really, really kind of blur that line. Baldur's Gate 3 being one of them, because like Larian is an independent studio, but they're gigantic. Like because Wizards of the Coast was just like, hey, we want you to make this IP or this, game with our IP, but we will give you autonomy over it. You can do whatever you want with it. So they were still independent about like what they can do, what they can make. They had no one like making oversight or anything over it. But Wizards was just like, whatever you got to do, hire more people. So then Larian hired like 400 staff. So they became like huge, but they were technically still independent from anyone else. But it's like, it's so big. At what point does that become not, like it's weird. Like when does that become like a AA, a AAA studio?
Yeah, that's kind of where it goes into with any sort of those larger properties, like even Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles, which are being outsourced to these indie studios to create these games. And a lot of them are kind of on a smaller scale, like the most recent Power Ranger one, Rita's Rewind, or the Ninja Turtle one, Splintered Fate. Like those are technically indie games if we want to say that they're from indie studios, but they are larger properties, just like with Baldur's Gate 3 is Dungeons and Dragons. And so that's where it's like, is it indie? Is it not? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
We're questioning it. You're questioning it. Like you tell us, like, what do you think? How do you feel?
I mean, the same thing kind of happened with like way back in the day with Life is Strange, like because Square Enix wasn't the original like creator of that. It was a different, like a smaller studio that Square Enix, like kind of, they published it and then they acquired it. So that property became a property of Square Enix, but it was developed by a different studio originally. And then like Dave the Diver, which is also like a really renowned game. And like a lot of people, assume it to be indie, but that studio is actually a subsection of a larger studio. But that little team is kind of like they have autonomy over what they do and they don't have anyone telling them what to do or breathing down their necks and stuff. But they are funded by a larger studio. So it's kind of like, so then Dave the Diver is sort of not actually indie. It's blurry, man. Like it gets so hard when you try to get the semantics of like, if you're trying to be black and white about it, of like, this means indie and this is not indie. Then it's just like, okay, well, then if we do it that way, then nothing makes sense. But if you allow for a little bit of gray area, then it's like, all right, we can kind of.
I would just say, like, where I'm at with this is a AA game made by an indie studio, and so I think we would just cover anything on here aside from AAA games made by actual studios. And so, but AA arcade doesn't have the same ring to it. So indie game arcade it is, and that's just what we're gonna have to blanket everything in that's not a AAA game by a AAA studio.
That's what I was thinking. Like I was kind of waxing poetic like a few episodes back about how, and I've heard some people like use this term, but I almost feel like it needs to be used more, or maybe there's better, like because there's like AA and AAA, like maybe there needs to be like a, your Undertales are like, indie. It's just a single little I. Then you got your double I. Then your triple I. Something like this, or Baldur's Gate 3 would be like a triple I or something. I don't know. I think that's getting too far in the weeds, but like the people understand the sentiment, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. That's enough,
anyway.
I think.
No.
I think people get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was published by Kepler Interactive, retails for $49.99. And for a description, a little bit of the story. So this takes place in the isolated island of Lumiere. There is a godlike figure known as the Paintress who awakens annually to paint a number on this monolith. And all individuals of that age vanish instantly in a event that they call the Gommage, with the number decreasing each year. So the inhabitants, basically, it's inevitable. They know, okay, I got one more year to live. That sucks. Expedition 33 comprises volunteers with only 1 year to live, embarking on a journey to the mainland off of this island to try to destroy the Paintress, hoping that will halt this cycle of death. The gameplay mechanics of this are turn-based combat, but with some like real-time action elements. So you think of like either QuickTime or if we go back to the idea of games like Super Mario RPG or Sea of Stars, like timing your attacks or your defense and things like that to do more damage or to protect yourself It uses things like that. Those
Well, yeah,
kinds
it's
of
like
elements.
reactive combat, reactive turn-based combat.
Which is great. I love that. And we've talked before, I think during our episode where I was talking about Sea of Stars, I wish all turn-based RPGs had this element to it. Because like I think one of the things that sometimes like I don't feel like playing, like I love Final Fantasy and the world, and I love it for what it is. But that's like the one thing that really I think turns me away sometimes from JRPGs and stuff, is just hoping your stuff hits and does things, you know, but it feels like you don't have as much control over it.
Yeah, I like having agency in what I'm doing more often than not, which is why I love Souls-like games. They're just like action RPGs, generally speaking. So it's tough for me to be sold on a turn-based most of the time at this point, just because I've played so many good action RPGs. This one straddles the line between both, and in such a great way, because even on the normal setting that I have it on, like the default setting, it can be really hard if you're not reacting correctly, and the tells are very quick. So you have to like in a way where you are learning the enemy's tells and what their attacks do and what the timing of it is. You have two options with the reactivity. You have parry and dodge. Dodge is the easier one, and that gives you a larger window, and that's usually what I would say use to like learn the enemy's attacks, because parry has a much tighter window. And if you miss, you're just going to take that hit right to the face. And some of these enemies will one-shot you if you don't hit it right. Like there was this one I fought that this is where I got really excited about it. Like once I got like a little further into it, not too far. I'm not super far in. I'm literally less than 2 hours in right now, but I still feel like I have a good grasp of the combat at this point. So there was this one called the Chromatic Lancer, and like it even told me like when I went up to it, is like this is a real tough enemy or something like that. Like, this one looks bad.
It's like this guy sucks.
So,
good luck.
And so I tried to fight him a couple times, and it was like, oh man, this guy's just one-shotting me. So it's like, okay, but I can do this, and I managed. But it feels so satisfying when you can hit those parries correctly and just like strike back with a counter. Oh, like that's the stuff. Like that's what makes it really fun for me. And with that, it makes combat not ever get repetitive in the same way that maybe a turn-based would.
I feel so goddamn powerful in this game every time I do that, because it's not just like you parry and do a little bit of damage. When you parry, you do a crap ton of damage back. Like it is so extremely rewarding for you. And I love that about this game.
It's 100% worth your time to parry. And it also lets you not only do damage back, but take no damage in return. You're not taking chip damage or anything. So you can go through boss fights without taking a single hit. And I have. And it feels so good to do that. And it gives you like an achievement if you do it too. So then you feel even better. You're like, yeah, I achieved something. But yeah, it's just so fun from the technical aspect of it. And that's putting the whole story aside, which is also astounding.
Oh man, this story, holy crap.
And okay, I want to say like, we're not going to spoil anything for anybody because we're literally 2 hours in. So we couldn't really spoil anything, but I don't want to spoil like anything at all, because like you need to experience this yourself organically. Please don't watch a video on it. Please don't just like read a review of it that has spoilers. Like, please just play it if you're going to.
I know a lot of people will know like the beginning, like because it's like the trailer and everything, you know how everything goes. Man, you get like, I'll just say you get a 1-2 gut punch real fast though. Like, I feel like I was still reeling from the stuff that you see in the trailer, and then you go out and you get another emotional gut punch real fast that I didn't expect whatsoever. And I think that's what makes this story so good, is like all expectations you have just get turned on you so fast.
And you, as the primary protagonist, Gustav, he is
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, basically French Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson with Charlie Cox's voice. Yeah.
When you see him, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Like he is like a dead ringer. You're experiencing what he's experiencing, and like going through the same sort of shock that he is going through.
Oh
and
my
with
God,
that, you're really able to kind of relate to what's going on in the story, and you're also losing hope in the same way, at least super early on, in the same way that he is, because you're seeing how everything is going on around him, and you're like, holy crap, this is going way worse than I expected it to this soon.
There is the one scene, and like we're gonna dance around it because I don't want to spoil things, but like you'll know the scene I'm talking about. But when he like sits down next to the pile, I just felt so sick to my stomach about it. Like I was devastated, man. That hurt. This game hurt me. It hurt my soul when that happened.
Well, it's interesting because and again, I'm going to dance around it, but you know it's coming because they know it's coming, but you're not prepared for it in the way that the survivors are not prepared for it. And that's where it's like, it's so hard to grasp something like that, because it's like, what I would relate it to, honestly, is like when you have to put your pet down, and it's like, you know, it's happening, and you know, it's going to happen, and you know, it needs to happen to some degree, but it doesn't make it easy. And then when it does happen, like you were not prepared for the hit that you just took. No. And I think this has a similar feeling to that, not to compare pets to video game people, but I'm just saying, like, emotionally, this is the same sort of parallel.
It's a game, and probably one of the most notable instances of a game that carries so much emotional weight to it, that, and especially like that, I think gets you so invested and causes that much of a reaction in you so quickly, because it's like these emotional beats happen probably within the first hour. I think, like, I feel like it was less than an hour, or maybe just an hour.
Well, yeah, I've played less than 2 hours, and I've gone through this and another emotional thing where it's like, what the heck? It's just throwing stuff at me every hour.
Yeah. So, man, it is pretty intense. And like, I gotta give credit where it is due. I can't remember another experience in recent memory where a game's had that much impact on me emotionally that fast. Like, I can remember some games that have had very emotional impacts on me, but like to this extent, though, it is kind of mind-boggling, honestly.
Yeah, it throws you in the deep end real quick as far as that goes, and then it doesn't really let up, at least so far. Have you gotten to the open world portion of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you do get to explore to some degree, and the map is quite large. I don't know how long. I think I heard somewhere or something that maybe it's like a 30-ish hour RPG, which is like very reasonable. It's not like one of those 100-hour grand ventures. So it's like, this is very digestible, and I'm glad it's this way, because once I get to like 100-hour or hour 100 of a game, I'm just like, I'm just ready for it to be over. And so like, I'm uninvested in the actual story, and I'm just ready to end it. Whereas 30 hours is like a nice chunk of time. Yes. But it gives you a chance to go through everything and not feel like you need to rush through something just to see it to the end.
What's crazy about it too, and I don't know if you found this in your playthrough or anything yet, but like, there are areas of this open world that just don't have like a purpose just yet, you know, and I don't know if it's going to be something that they're going to be like, here's DLC or anything. I don't know that that's the case, but it's just like, there's literal parts of this that you can go and explore and aren't tied to like, you know, your storyline, your quests, or anything like that. It's literally just places for you to explore, run into enemies and stuff, and I love that.
Well, I think that's just giving you some open world aspect of it, for better or for worse. It's giving you some kind of something to explore outside of just the main guided storyline, which I like. Yeah. And did you go into that cave where there's the boss enemy that it tells you right away when you go into this cave, it's like, hey, like danger with the exclamation point. So I was like, no, I like danger. Okay, I went into this cave, it said danger in red, and I was like, cool, I'm going to check it out. I go in there, there's this boss, and I'm like ready to fight him, ready to parry, ready to do my thing. I parry the first couple hits. I'm like, okay, this is reasonable. But then I'm doing like no damage to him. I'm like, man, this is going to take forever. And then he hits me, and it does 5,000 damage to me. So I'm like, oh, Jesus. Okay, never mind. Just to give you some sort of idea of like what that means.
Yeah.
I think to start, you have like 150, 180 health.
Yeah.
At this point right now, I don't know what level I am, but like I'm 200 something health. And so it's like 5,000 is way outside of a range of anything I could survive.
Yeah.
So
no, you'll never have that much.
That's just to say that there are areas that it will warn you to not go into, and you should probably listen to it unless you were just ready to dodge for like an hour, it seems like.
It's so interesting that they put something in there like that, because it's just like really enhances the idea of exploration, and just there's things included in there that are just interesting and don't serve a purpose other than for your own curiosity, you know? And I love that. That is so cool, and it really fleshes out the world.
If you're familiar with any of the like Souls like just gameplay aspects, there are like bonfires, quote unquote, that are your little camp things. Or not camps, What are they called? I don't remember. Campfires or something. When you do it, if you're inside of a zone, it will not reset the enemies that you've already killed. So I just want to note that, because I was avoiding doing it for a while because I didn't want to respawn everything around me. But it doesn't respawn.
Flags?
Yeah, the flags. They don't respawn the enemies in the immediate area you're in. However, in the open world part, those enemies do respawn. So just note that.
There's like so many like parts of this that we still haven't even covered with like the mechanics and stuff. You also have like that free aim system too, which I really like. Like before you do like one of your actions that takes up your turn, you could always just like aim for a weak point on the enemy and just, shoot them.
It still takes up your action points though. And
it does take up an action point. Yes. But
so you may not be able to afford the action that you want to do. So it's not a free thing, but you can do it many times if you just want to like take out some enemies. And there are some enemies that you have to do that to, like these flying enemies. And so it's like you just weigh out like when it's worth shooting at a weak point or when it's worth just like using your action instead. So there's a balance to it for sure.
And hitting those weak points too tend to do quite a bit of damage, which is like, again, the game's very good about rewarding you, just about like any kind of move you make. Like it's not like overcompensating and making things easy for you, because all the bosses and everything are extremely tough. And even just some of the regular mobs are very tough. But whenever you do pull something off, like it rewards you very well.
And it will punish you if you miss a parry, though. So
absolutely. You will be punished into oblivion. There's also the Pictos and Lumina. So you are getting those as you're going along. And that's kind of like the idea of like... as you're like, you level up and stuff, I mean, you're upgrading your characters and everything, but you also get these Pictos and Lumina, which are like the Pictos are like the passive buffs and stuff, but like those can evolve into Lumina, which are like give you more strategic options and things. What all have you gotten on yours so far?
I feel like I have like 10 plus Pictos. So I don't know, like there are some that will give you, like one that I really like is this combo I have on Gustav now. That's like when I do my free aim shot, it has a chance to, I think a 20% chance to add burn to the enemy and a 20% chance to, it's two different Pictos, and a 20% chance to add marked to the enemy. And marked is like the next damage they take will do 50% more damage. So it's like just in a single shot, I can apply both those things, or have a chance to. But I like that there's a customization to like let you play a certain style. And I've only unlocked like just a tiny fraction of what I'm sure is out there. So what I like about it especially is you don't have to equip the Pictos on each individual character. Once you unlock the Lumina, it unlocks for every character, and they can use that as a passive buff, which is super cool. But there is a cost to them. Obviously the Lumina cost. So the more powerful that passive buff is, the more Lumina it's going to cost. And you get like a Lumina every time you level up. So I think I have like 6 Lumina on my characters right now, but I have to like figure out which passive buffs I want to put in there. So again, that just adds to the amount of customization you can do, but also limits you. You can't have it all, but you can make a really like specific type of character if you get the right sort of Lumina.
Who is your favorite character so far to play?
Well, I mean...
Or do we want to go there? Because that might spoil.
I only have 2 characters, so
okay. I'll just say this. Every character that you get all have their own unique combat system to them, like every single one. And I love that. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, but they can all like assist each other in ways of like, I'm going to set this enemy up to take more damage from you because they have this, you know, this negative effect on them that you chain off of or something.
I will say I love the stains system. I think that's really cool. I love that.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's and she's my favorite so far. I don't want to say who it is for those of you that haven't started yet, but yeah, I like her character the most. So like you only have one character that you're controlling to like run around the open world. I keep choosing her just because she floats, and that's just fun. I like the floating around.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who you have as the character you're running around as. Combat, it doesn't affect combat or anything that you get into. There are some enemies that are somewhat hidden. For instance, like in the, at least like just from what I've experienced, there look for mimes. Mimes is a thing you're going to see periodically, or you may not see them, but you can uncover them, and they are like pretty hard enemies that you'll be facing. It's the equivalent of like a metal slime in Dragon Quest. So something similar to that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like they will give you like a special sort of reward, but you sort of have to hunt them down and sometimes fight them in a very specific way. Have you unlocked any of the paint cages?
No.
Okay, so a paint cage is, you'll see this like glowing orb sort of in the sky, I guess, or not in the sky, but like high up. And then you shoot it and it will come down, and then it'll tell you, okay, you need to shoot 3 locks to unlock this paint cage. So then you have to look around the area that you're in and see if you can see like other kind of glowing orb things to shoot. And then once you shoot those, they will unlock the paint cage.
Oh, okay.
So it's like treasure chest, but you don't unlock it with a key. You unlock it by finding these little triggers.
Interesting.
So there's just some interesting like elements to this that are RPG adjacent, but they're done in unique ways.
Also, like if you guys have seen the trailers and stuff, obviously this game looks amazing. Like this looks high quality, AAA, better than some. The only thing I would say is that, and this is for any game, like in this kind of visual style in AAA game, outside of the cutscenes, hair never looks that great in a AAA or a game like this. Like the hair always looks really just like straw. But other than that, everything looks freaking fantastic. And I would say this is the most cinematic looking game I've played in a very long time. Yeah,
it's a beautiful game. It's not like the highest quality graphics I've ever seen, but it is just done in such a beautiful way that you're not looking for that. Like I don't need this hyper realism. It's realistic enough, and it just has such beautiful colors. And the soundtrack is just like magical as you're going through just even the world.
Oh, I love the soundtrack of this so much. I've listened to it on Spotify a few times and it's fantastic. So yeah, big fan of this. I would, so like as far as like recommending it for people, yeah, please play this. You should. Even if you like Souls-likes, if that's your thing and you haven't really gotten into like turn-based RPGs, like I feel like this is pretty much a Souls-like as a turn-based RPG. Like if they were like, you know what if we made Dark Souls a turn-based combat RPG? It's kind of like this. Like I feel like this is what you would get.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's like a lighter Souls touch to an RPG. So if you're turned off by the idea of Souls-likes, then don't worry, you can put this on easy. If you're not, then, or if you just want more of a challenge, don't worry, you can put this on hard also. I just have it on normal because I want to see what it's like. I feel like I can maybe move it up to hard at this point, but I'm also worried that I'm going to get one shot by everything if I do. So we'll see.
Then everything will be doing the 5,000 damage instead of just the one guy.
Yeah. So I don't know what hard actually does. Maybe it'll make them damage sponges. Maybe it'll just make them do more damage. Maybe both. So I don't know. But as far as normal goes, it feels very fair and it feels very still reactive. And it's very satisfying seeing your just like pulling off these combos, pulling off the parries or the group parries where everybody counters. And that's great.
Yeah. And apparently it's already being picked up to become a feature film, which is crazy. So
this to me feels like it's definitely going to be top 5 game of the year, if not game of the year.
Easily.
Like I have no doubt about that. It's going to be tough to top this. I won't say it can't happen. I'm just going to say it's going to be challenging.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what's interesting too is there's been so many good games this year already, and we're like, we're only in like the second
about
quarter.
Halfway.
Yeah. So it's going to be like, we're going to have to see some real crazy showstoppers to beat some of the games that have come out, especially this one. So we'll see how it goes.
Power up!
If you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor, throw us a like, a follow, share the episode or the podcast with the folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We've also got a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 or top 10 series for more indie game recommendations because we believe there is an indie game out there for everyone.
Combo!
Let's talk about some other indie games we've been playing over the last week. Just real quick, man, I've been like going back into like the vaults. I've been playing a whole bunch of games this past week on my Steam Deck. I played more of Drop Duchy, Into the Restless Ruins, and playing a ton of Balatro on my phone. I got sucked right back into that one, man. I just can't stop. I almost got my wife to get into it. She was going to buy it on her phone, and then she looked at the price and she's like, no, I'm not paying this much money for a mobile game. And now she's refusing to play it. But at some point, I'll get her.
No, I appreciate that at least one of you is against mobile games.
She's not against them. She's just against paying for them, I think is the problem.
Yeah.
But eventually I'll get her. One quick one. So to pivot from a game that is extremely not for kids to one that would be great for kids, I played Pup Champs, which releases, as of recording this, it releases tomorrow, May 19th. This is developed by Afterburn. This is such a cute little game. This probably won't be a Joseph game, so I'm warning you now. But in this game, you don't really necessarily play as this character, but the premise of the game is you're a retired soccer coach teaching these kids, but they're all anthropomorphic dogs. So you're a dog and it's pups that you're teaching to play soccer or, football for everyone that's not from the United States. But done through the idea of like puzzles. So it's like on a grid, and you're like moving the characters around and you only have like so many moves. So each pup has like different abilities, like kicking the ball over the top of an obstacle, maybe like one tile, or another one can kick pretty much all the way across, but they can't kick over obstacles. They can only kick straight forward. So you'll need to like position the pups into like different areas of the grid. And they can only move so many spaces. And just kind of arrange them based on their abilities and figure out how to score a goal. And as the levels go on, they add more obstacles and other conditions. Definitely a cozy little puzzle game. It's kid-friendly. Super satisfying, though, and there are a ton of levels to this. So cute artwork and, simple premise and everything. But, it was really enjoyable to play. I really had a good time with it.
I have no notes. Nothing to say.
You're like, yeah. Okay, indeed.
Yeah, I heard dogs. I heard soccer.
Yeah,
got it.
There you go. Dogs playing soccer, man. It's cute. Everyone, check it out. Don't worry about Joseph's slight disdain for cozy. Go check it out. I promise. It'll be cute. What about you? What's something you've been playing?
So I have been playing a lot of KIBORG. KIBORG? Now I'm going to assume KIBORG. This is a brutal roguelite beat 'em up made by Russian developer Sobaka Studio, where you're playing as this prisoner, Morgan Lee, who is a cyberpunk convict fighting through a deadly reality show that's led by this dude who is Mojo, essentially, like a Mojo equivalent.
Oh, cool.
If you think of Mojo, you'll see him pop up and it's just this really gross, this kind of grotesque, disfigured thing. And he's got a really excited attitude about what's going on. And Mojo also runs, reality shows in his Mojoverse thing. So this is a direct comparison to that is where my head went immediately. But in this is the one where the combat is very like Arkham, like just Arkham Asylum combat, like or Spider-Man combat if you're into those more recently, where you are just trying to kind of chain together things. You're able to sort of jump from enemy to enemy. You can parry, you can dodge, you can do all sorts of different things. And then the customization here is great because you're getting these different armor sets and implants and mutations each run that you can try to add a lot of variety to your build and see kind of what works. And it is there is some RNG to it, of course. So it's like you may not get exactly what you want, but there are ways to curve it to where you sort of can more so during the run. But it's been really challenging so far. I've gotten to the boss, but I have not beaten the boss yet in the time that I've played. But even like every run just feels very unique and has been really fun. So if you like that sort of Arkham combat, and you like roguelikes and you just like beat 'em up games, then I think this is going to answer all your questions.
Yeah, man. It looks so cool too. It's so gritty looking. And
yeah,
I love the idea that it's like Mojo from like X-Men, like that idea is just, that's always been such a cool kind of idea to me. So I'm excited that it picks up that same sort of story. That's cool.
Yeah. And it just like, I was thinking about it as I was playing it, like this is a game that if they threw an X-Men like skin on it with a mod, it would be almost 1-to-1 because it feels so much like you're in that world just based on how everything's going through. That it's like, this is just super cool because like you, I also really think that is a cool world and a cool aspect of X-Men that I haven't gotten to read enough about really. And yeah, it's just fun to see it in game form, even though it's not in game form. Maybe it's inspired by it. Maybe it's not. This is a Russian developer, like I said, so could be completely disconnected from that, but just it feels like it. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Love it. Love that. Real quick, here's one from an indie developer that they sent this to us. And I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say this because it's like MISC, like MISC, but I don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce it like MISC or miscellaneous, like, you know, the abbreviation. I'm not sure, but I'm going to call it MISC A Tiny Tale. This is from Tinyware Games. This is a little 3D platformer about these like tiny bug-sized robots. So it's supposed to be like set in like, I think a world like after humans. But it's just kind of like these little robot guys are the only ones like left. And you're just kind of like almost like in an old N64 kind of way. The graphics are definitely like an upgrade from that kind of style. But as far as like the mechanics, it feels a lot like those N64 sort of games like Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, you know, platforming, light puzzle solving, lots of collecting in this kind of cool world full of like junk and mechanical creatures and everything. Really simple, feels like a good game for like a younger audience, kind of like those 64 games were. There's a little bit of like light combat to it too. It seems like you don't take any damage from enemies, but you can definitely beat enemies up with this little metal stick that you have. And the enemies were like little like mechanical penguins, like little wind up guys and stuff. And there's some other ones as well too. You'll like interact with different NPCs and get quests and things like that. And then there's just a ton of stuff in the levels to explore and, you know, puzzle solve and platform and everything. So it was a cool little thing. Really enjoyed that. So thank you to Tinyware Games for sending that to us.
Final round!
Let's talk about a few upcoming indie games that we're excited about. Number one is Monster Train 2. I'm so excited. It's finally coming out. In fact, it's coming out this week. So
yeah, the 21st.
21st.
This is where so much of my time is going to go in the next couple weeks.
I was going to say, I guarantee this is going to be one we're talking about next week. Like there's no way we're not talking about this one. So strap in. You already know what we're talking about next week. I'm very, very excited for this. Monster Train, the original, is one of my favorite roguelike deck builders of all time. It still takes up space in my head. So I'm very, very much looking forward to this.
What's interesting about Monster Train 2 is there are a lot of like indie crossover things that are, I don't know if they are like coming with it or if they're going to be DLC or what, but just some of the things I've seen, like Cult of the Lamb, Balatro, Inscription. Like there are just so many like crossovers, which feels strange for that world, but I think it'll be optional content anyway. So I don't know. We'll see how that feels in execution. But even just playing the demo of Monster Train 2, like I'm pumped for the base game regardless.
I have to have that Inscription crossover content. I have to.
Yeah,
I
like
need
what would
it.
that even be? That's going to be so interesting. I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. But all I do know is that I need it. I need it injected straight into my veins.
Yeah, a mighty need.
I need it like I need air. So give it to me. Another game I wanted to bring up that I'm looking forward to is Kabuto Park. So this is kind of like a little bit of a creature collector and battler in the vein of like Pokemon in a way, but I love the art style of this one, like real storybook kind of looking. So you are collecting bugs and then battling them in sort of a Pokemon kind of style, but it is using cards. So it is like a card battler in that way as well. So just looks super cute, kind of like I guess cozy adjacent sort of game. And just like, I don't know, it just looks really charming and everything. I'm just looking really excited for it. It looks like a good, cozy little summer game, with some bug battles. So why not?
The game that I wanted to bring up this week is The Siege and the Sandfox. And this comes out on the 20th of May. It's a 2D stealth Metroidvania with parkour platforming, which I just learned about today, and I was looking at it and it just looks really fun. Like the way you're jumping around, you're kind of just there is combat and you can like fight enemies, but you're in a lot of cases trying to evade more than you are fight, or befriend allies, improve skills, and apparently foil an evil plot. You're exploring like the depths below this desert city, so you're unlocking different things, and you are, I don't know, just Metroidvania-ing all around to try to explore and see what you can find and stop whatever this evil plot is. So I don't know, it looks cool. I love Metroidvanias, and also just parkouring around sounds fun as a platforming thing. So we'll see how it is. Have
you ever tried to parkour in real life?
I mean, I used to do flips, but I don't think my body could handle flips anymore.
Yeah, me either. I like, it's one of those things where like today, like sometimes if I step outside my front door wrong, it's painful. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing any flips anytime soon.
Yeah, I had a shoulder pain that lasted for a year. And
I remember that. Yeah. I sent you that massager to try to help with it.
That's right. The doctor just told me that my tendon was angry with me. That was his official diagnosis. So I was like, okay.
What a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Angry tendon.
How can I fix it? I don't know.
I don't know. It's just mad.
Physical therapy. Yeah. It's just angry with me.
Perfect. That's
buy
great.
Flowers.
Buy it flowers, chocolates, take it to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Didn't work.
Game over.
Well, if you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper to learn how you can help support the show and all the things we do at Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree. That'll take you to our social media, our Discord, the subreddit, the merch store, everything else. But get in touch with us and let us know what indie games you are playing and help us elevate these games so we can help support indie developers. But that's game over for us. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.